Just ahead, as the government shutdown drags on for a fourth week, we'll tell you how food aid benefits for millions of Americans are being impacted.
More American military attacks on boats that the Trump administration says were carrying drugs bound for the U.S. We'll have that story, including what some are saying is the president's true motivation for the attacks.
I'm Caroline Chang. 1 week before Election Day and a decision on California's controversial Prop 50. That story, plus your weather and sports, coming up on Chapman News.
From Orange, California, live from Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and happy almost Halloween. Welcome to Chapman News. I'm Lisa Pressler.
And I'm Ainsley Savant. Our top story this morning, the government shutdown has entered its fourth week today, making it the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. The vote to advance a Republican-backed spending bill failed in the Senate this morning for the 13th time. The impact of the shutdown is being felt in several areas. The Department of Agriculture says there will be no federal food aid payments on November 1st. More than 40 million Americans and more than 300,000 residents here in OC rely on that program known as SNAP to buy groceries. 25 states are now suing the White House to stop the shutdown and resume food aid. But House Speaker Mike Johnson says Republicans will not implement a standalone bill to resume that aid. Also, airports including LAX are experiencing flight delays because of a shortage of air traffic controllers, who, along with TSA agents, are not being paid because of the shutdown.
Election Day is 1 week from today, and here in California, all eyes are on Prop 50. The vote is also being watched around the nation because of its potential impact on the balance of power in Congress. Our reporter Caroline Chang is here to tell us more about it. Caroline?
Thanks, Lisa. This special election for Prop 50 is essentially a vote on California's congressional map, deciding who will control the House of Representatives. Democrats or Republicans. Here is the current congressional map of California. These district lines are drawn by the California Citizens Redistricting Commission. That is a nonpartisan group which draws these lines after every census. So these are from 2020 and would be in effect for a decade. So why is redistricting being proposed now? Well, I spoke with Dr. Sarah Hill, who is a professor at Cal State Fullerton and specializes in California politics. She breaks down what is happening.
Texas has changed their congressional map to try to elect 5 more Republicans to Congress in 2026. And so Gavin Newsom and the Democrats in California are trying to do the opposite in California, introduce a map that would send 5 more Democrats to Congress from California, purposefully to balance that out.
Now, this is a look at the difference between the existing congressional districts map and the proposed new map, where you can see more of these districts turning blue. Hill says it's an example of gerrymandering.
The idea of drawing maps for legislative districts to either the benefit or the detriment of a certain group. What we're talking about here is partisan gerrymandering.
Hill says Prop 50 is a direct response to President Trump's attempts to ensure that Republicans keep control of Congress in next year's midterm elections. Now, Prop 50 has drawn some big-name supporters and opponents, with former President Obama and former Vice President Kamala Harris endorsing the measure, while former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger rejects it. Hill says it's placed some politicians in an awkward position.
The Trump administration has been so aggressive that many Democrats feel like we have to push back. We can't keep playing nice while others are playing political games. Republicans are having to say, well, we don't want to play party politics, but that means admitting what happened in Texas was wrong. So it's put everybody in a weird spot, which makes it very interesting to watch politically.
The Prop 50 special election is costing more than $200 million. And a recent Emerson College poll shows strong support from the Democrats, as you can see right here. Now, in-person and mail-in voting has been underway since early this month, but you can still cast your ballot up until next Tuesday. I'm Caroline Chang. Back to you, Lisa and Ainsley.
Thank you, Caroline. The U.S. military has attacked 4 more boats in the Pacific Ocean. 14 people were killed. The Trump administration says the boats were carrying drugs headed for the U.S. In the last 2 months, there have been at least 13 U.S. strikes on boats in the Caribbean and Pacific, with a total of 51 people killed. This is a video from a strike last week. Critics say the attacks are a dangerous escalation that could lead to a military confrontation with Venezuela. Some analysts say the administration's goal is to topple Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, whose government President Trump has called criminal and illegitimate. The Pentagon also announced that it is sending the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier to the Caribbean to monitor drug activity in the region.
Well, Hurricane Melissa is one of the strongest storms of the year and is currently making its way through Jamaica.
Aussie Hahn has the latest on the storm and its effects. Aussie?
That's right, Ainsley and Lisa. Looking right behind me, as you can see over here, is Hurricane Melissa as a satellite view taken from last night, but still experiencing its forms. It's currently one of the strongest storms we're facing this year and the 5th strongest storm to ever hit the Atlantic Ocean. As of right now, it's currently at a Category 5, reaching shocking wind speeds of 185 miles per hour. It is currently moving north and northeastern, currently going right over Jamaica at around 7 to 9 miles per hour, and in those areas with expected rainfall anywhere from 15 inches all the way up to 30 inches. Now, taking a look right behind me, you can see some of that impact already hitting Jamaica. As you can see, there's a current flash flood developing in some more regional areas. Granted, this was taken from this morning, but we expected to see these same impacts hitting more urban and more densely populated areas. As of right now, there have already been reports of multiple deaths in the area caused directly by the storm as more and more people are continue to go through. Now, looking at the path right over here, we can see Hurricane Melissa as it continues to go through Jamaica throughout the rest of Tuesday before ending right at the southern end of Cuba by the end of the day. From there, it's expected to continue to travel up the Atlantic coast where it will dissipate by the end of the week. Now, taking a look at our national forecast, while the U.S. is not expected to get hit by Hurricane Melissa, we will still be seeing some effects from it. For example, all of the eastern coast, ranging from New York down to Miami, is currently on a wave watch warning, as they're expecting much stronger waves to hit the region because of Hurricane Melissa later this week. But otherwise, New York is hitting at a cool 56 and Miami is still a bit cloudy, but otherwise at a nice 84 degrees. Looking at Chicago and Nashville right over here, still a bit cloudy as they're experiencing some rain and windstorms of their own. And finally, heading down south over here at Houston, where it is 85 degrees and partially sunny, but they are also on a severe weather watch warning, again due to Hurricane Melissa. Now, as we finally shift more westward, we can see the weather story starts to change a little bit. Denver is currently at a nice 45 degrees and overall pretty clear, sunny, clear skies. Looking down at the southeast, my hometown of Las Vegas, it's looking at a cool 78 degrees, while Phoenix is looking much hotter at 88, but both clear and sunny skies. Seattle is dealing currently with 51 degrees and a little bit cloudy as they might experience a little bit of rain, and San Francisco is sitting at a nice sunny 69 degrees. Now, looking over at our map of OC, as you might have seen, we are dealing with a little bit of a surprise heat advisory going on today. Most of our inland cities from Westminster down to Mission Viejo are all on heat advisory, hitting right around anywhere from high 80s to low 80s, while our more coastal cities from Newport Beach, Laguna, and San Clemente are not on that heat advisory, but still unexpectedly warm for this time of year. Coming up after this, I'll dive a little bit deeper into why we're experiencing this surprise heat wave, a little bit about the Santa Ana winds, and what our weather's looking like for the rest of the week. Ainsley and
Thank you, Aussie. President Trump is in Japan today as part of his 6-day trip to Asia. Earlier today, he met with the country's newly elected Prime Minister, Sanae Takaishi. The president later recognized her when he spoke to U.S. troops on board the USS George Washington.
This woman is a winner. So, we've become very close friends all of a sudden because their stock market today and our stock market today hit an all-time high. That means we're doing something right. But the cherished alliance between the United States and Japan is one of the most remarkable relationships in the entire world.
Trump began his trip in Malaysia, where he helped oversee a ceasefire deal between Cambodia and Thailand. He is expected to head to South Korea tomorrow and is scheduled to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday. Trade is expected to be a major topic of discussion. Trump is threatening an 100% tariffs on Chinese imports starting November 1st unless a new trade deal is reached. China has stopped major U.S. imports like soybeans and limited the sale of rare earth minerals.
President Trump is threatening to impose a 100% tariff on foreign-made films, claiming recently that the movie industry has been, quote, stolen from the U.S. by other countries. But American-produced films still dominate the domestic marketplace. The Motion Picture Association says American films made over $22 billion in exports in 2023. However, 70% of Hollywood's total box office revenue did come from international markets last year. Here at Dodge College, film writing professor and associate dean Pavel Yek says the impact of the possible tariff is unclear.
I'm not sure foreign students will be directly affected by the tariffs when they go back to their local communities, only if they're planning on working in a position where they'd be doing a lot of production services for Hollywood.
President Trump first issued the tariff threat back in May and repeated it June just last month. But he has yet to provide any specifics about how it would be implemented or when it might go into effect.
A big shakeup in the NBA today. The league is launching a full review of its gambling policies following the recent arrest of Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. A memo sent to all 30 teams said the NBA will be tightening how it handles injury reports, educating players and coaches, and looking to use AI to spot suspicious bets. Lawmakers are pressuring Commissioner Adam Silver for answers by the end of the month, asking how the league will prevent insider betting and clean up its code of conduct.
The fallout continues after a current NBA coach and player were charged in a sports betting scandal.
The federal investigation is also alleging mafia involvement in a sophisticated high-stakes poker scheme. Chapman News reporter Lauren Besso joins us with more on that.
Thanks, Lisa and Ainsley. The FBI says those poker games were elaborately rigged and cheated participants out of more than $7 million. So naturally, questions being asked, including, how was it pulled off and how did it go on for so long? In 2018, the federal ban on sports betting was lifted and the industry has been growing ever since. There are now over 17,000 sports betting businesses, and according to the Pew Research Center, 22% of adults say that they have bet money on sports games in 2025. The popularity of sports gambling apps can be attributed in no small part to their celebrity sponsors who continually tell their audiences to keep on betting.
Some people call me Shaq, but you can call me Mr. DraftKings.
Time to take it to the house with DraftKings.
It's playoff time, and my partners at DraftKings got something really big.
UCLA professor Timothy Fong feels that this goes along with the normalization that we now see in sports gambling.
For years, people would not want to be associated with gambling because it was considered a vice, a sin, a part of the underground world. And now when you elevate gambling to say it is as normal as apple pie, hot dogs, hamburgers, and buying computers, it's just another commodity. Well, then that shame and stigma is removed from it.
In the indictments that were announced last week, we see how much the influence of celebrity can not only influence online gambling, but also in-person poker games. It is alleged that beginning in April of 2019, Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups and former NBA player Damon Jones lured people into rigged poker games to scam them out of millions. The participants were told that they would have a chance to play poker alongside pro athletes, but a variety of what are described as very sophisticated cheating technologies were used, including a rigged shuffling machine and a hidden cameras that could read cards.
You can actually take that deck, put a deck of cards into that machine, and then that machine will sort this deck out in order. The cheaters took that camera and used it for their advantage. They hacked the machine where they can utilize that camera to know what everybody is getting. And then that machine will actually transmit to the cheaters who's going to win.
The FBI says mafia crime members were also involved and assisted by hosting games and scaring or assaulting victims into paying their poker gambling debt. One victim alone lost nearly $2 million in a span of just 2 months.
We also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
As to the impact all of this will have on the NBA and the future of gambling in sports, Timothy Fong says,
we look through patterns of history that invariably, if you go through media reports every year in the last 20 years, you'll find, gambling scandals every year that show up that involve athletes or involve the mob or involve celebrities. I think now we've reached a point where will there be one or two stories that are just the tipping point that get either public interest diminished or public demand for more accountability?
An attorney for Coach Billups says he is a man of integrity and would never risk his professional reputation for, quote, a card game. The attorney says Billups looks forward to clearing his name in court. If you or anyone you know have any questions or concerns about gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Lauren Besso.
I'm Nathaniel Rudolph. Coming up, we take a closer look at an organization that has gained major influence in Huntington Beach's city government. See what we found about Unite for Freedom and its allegations of election misconduct.
I'm Isabella Sevilla, live in Newport Beach to talk about how more than half of America's beaches could disappear by the year 2100. More on that story coming up after the break.
I'm worried about Mom.
Mom? She's fine. These are the ones, right, Mom?
Yeah, groundlings.
Sweet potatoes.
Daddy, it's salty.
Some things come with age.
And some don't. Early detection of Alzheimer's can lead to better care for your loved one. Learn the early warning signs at 10signs.org.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane. Woo! You got this.
Welcome back. We first brought you this story 2 weeks ago. The Huntington Beach City Council passed a resolution calling for, quote, fair and free elections in 2026.
That resolution was inspired by a presentation to the council from a group called United for Freedom. Today, our reporter Nathaniel Rudolph takes a closer look at the group and their claims. Nathaniel, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Lisa and Ainsley. The integrity of our elections has been in question for many years. From allegations of Russian interference to voter fraud. Now this speculation has come back to Orange County as California prepares for a special election. And the group Unite for Freedom is leading the charge. Unite for Freedom is the public outreach arm of United Sovereign Americans, a nonprofit launched in 2023. According to their materials, the group claims to expose major irregularities in state voter rolls and advocates for sweeping election reform. Dr. Fred Smoller, a political science professor at Chapman University, says these irregularities are just that, irregular and not widespread.
Law professors at Loyola have examined billions of votes, and they found a sprinkling of incorrect votes. But ultimately, it's hard enough to get American voters to vote once, let alone twice.
The group United for Freedom was founded by CEO Marley Hornick and Chairman Harry Howry. Hornick is also the founder of New York Citizens Audit, a group accused of voter intimidation in 2023 by the New York Attorney General, which Hornick says was a violation of their group's 4th and 15th Amendment rights. Harry, a former tech executive, claims to have worked with government agencies on national security systems, but those affiliations could not be independently verified. Marley Hornick is no longer with United for Freedom. She said she was fired earlier this year, but a statement from the group says they had diverging strategies. Hornick says she still has no idea why she was let go. However, she still tells me she believes the organization's work is considered credible.
Our work is really impeccable, and anyone who wanted to verify it would easily be able to do so. We've provided all of our methodology comprehensively to law enforcement at state and federal levels both.
According to the group's own documents and Hornick, Unite for Freedom has volunteers in many states who request public access to voter registration databases. And a team of 95 analysts, auditors, and developers inspect the data. However, Hornick wants to make clear that the organization is not setting out to prove voters are cheating.
It's always election misconduct. It is the officials, not the voters. I'm not accusing election officials of being crooks. I am saying they're standing over a system that is wildly out of compliance and doing nothing about it.
Local election officials argue that the voter irregularities the group finds are simply maintenance errors, such as a wrong address or birth date that have not been corrected yet. Dr. Smoller says these errors are insignificant.
I give the example. If we have early voting and somebody casts a vote 30 days before the election, and then they pass away, I guess you could say that a dead person voted. You remember, we're dealing with millions and billions of votes. Those instances are so small, and we have never been able to show that anything like that has resulted in an adverse election outcome.
In Orange County alone, United for Freedom claims in 2024 over 20% or 600,000 votes had omissions or errors in their registration. Hornick says until those errors are fixed, the voter rolls should not be certified and the voters should not be allowed to cast their ballots. Unite for Freedom also claims to be nonpartisan. However, some facts we found bring that claim into question. The group has repeatedly appeared on right-wing media programs like Steve Bannon's War Room, and their social media platforms, Gitter, Truth Social, and Rumble, are popular with conservative audiences. Hornick insists, though, the group is not just interested in conservative platforms. She says the mainstream media makes assumptions about United for Freedom's motivations.
Worked really hard to try to get what you call maybe left-leaning organizations to cover our work. But they are so unbelievably biased. It's just like, well, these people have to be racist. They have to be prejudiced. They have to be attempting to suppress voting. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this work.
Unite for Freedom has filed several lawsuits claiming election misconduct in states such as Texas, Maryland, and Pennsylvania, but every one of those lawsuits was lost or dismissed, except in Colorado, where there's one ongoing. After a success in Huntington Beach, the group says it plans to take its case to other cities and counties and governments in California. Their future influence and credibility could depend on how their claims hold up to scrutiny. I'm Nathaniel Rudolph reporting. Back to you, Lisa and Ainsley.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Now, Lisa, it's been feeling more like summer today than fall, don't you think?
Yeah, well, our weather reporter, Aussie Hahn, is joining us. And Aussie, why is it feeling so hot out?
Well, that's because, once again, the Santa Ana winds have made their comeback this fall.
So, Aussie, does this mean we're going to be overheating in our Halloween costumes this weekend?
Well, I got some good news for you. You'll be staying nice and cool, but otherwise, during the day, yes, it will look really hot. Looking at today's temperature, it's an absolutely scorching 89 degrees outside. I'm getting a little flashback to July right now, and as well as a little heat symbol warning and heat advisory warning that we might have gotten over the weekend. Now, some of us might be wondering why we're getting this, and as I mentioned earlier, that's because of the Santa Ana winds. Taking a look at this video right behind me, starting this morning, the little white dots here represent the wind gusts. As you can see throughout the day, you'll notice that those gusts start to change direction and pull more eastward. Those are the Santa Ana winds, and you can see as it brings those hot, dry winds over to Southern California, causing that increase in temperature that we're seeing over here. So if anyone's looking forward to going out or maybe even driving to LA to catch the Dodgers game later tonight, I highly recommend bringing water, staying in shade, and most importantly, dressing cool. But now our biggest and main concern, will this be affecting some Halloween? Well, I got some good news. Taking a look at our 5-day Fresnel forecast, we can see Wednesday is when we reach the peak of our heat advisory warning at a shocking 91 degrees and sun. A real flashback to summer over there. But thankfully at 11 p.m. that should clear, and the rest of the weekend is looking pretty chill. Thursday, we're still a little bit hot, but at a nice 84. And finally, right in time for Halloween, we're dealing with a little bit of clouds, but otherwise finally back to our regular SoCal temperatures of 77 as we head into the weekend. Saturday is still looking, we're continuing with that cool, it's partly cloudy, but otherwise 78 degrees. And Sunday, right at 80s as we get ready to fall back just in time for daylight savings time. In other words, that's all the weather and news updates that I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. And for Chapman News, I'm Aussie Han. Ainsley and Lisa.
Thank you, Aussie. A new study suggests California's San Andreas Fault could be connected to yet another major West Coast fault line, meaning one massive earthquake could trigger another within hours. Researchers at Oregon State University found evidence the two faults, San Andreas and Cascadia, actually ruptured together in the year 1700. If it happened again, the scientists say Northern California would see the brunt of the destruction, along with Portland, Oregon, Seattle, and Vancouver, while Southern California is not predicted to be impacted. Experts say the chances are not zero. The author of the research, Dr. Chris Goldfinger, says a double quake today would be the worst disaster in North American history.
I'm not sure it would matter that much. Either one alone is going to draw down the resources of the whole country trying to respond to it. And then if you have two of them in quick succession, it's going to be a pretty severe response situation.
Goldfinger says the chances of a quake from the Cascadia fault triggering the San Andreas fault in the next 50 years are about 10 to 15%. He hopes the research spurs new emergency response preparedness, such as the new state-of-the-art Regional Emergency Operations Center being built in Costa Mesa.
Well, some of your favorite beaches will disappear by the year 2100 due to rising sea levels.
That alarming prediction comes from a recent report by the Surfrider Foundation. The organization says that more than half of America's beaches could be gone, and that percentage is even higher for California. Our reporter Isabella Sevilla is live in Newport Beach with more.
Thank you, Lisa and Ainsley. It's a very shocking conclusion from the Surfrider report, and the impact here in California could be devastating. It's predicted up to 70% of the beaches here in the Golden State will be lost. Surfrider says popular beaches like the one here in Newport Beach will lose their coastline if preventative steps are not taken. The foundation promotes protecting coastlines with nature-based solutions, planting mangroves, restoring sand dunes, and removing invasive plants. In areas like South Orange County, maintenance of railroad tracks that run from Dana Point to Oceanside continues to erode portions of Dana Point and San Clemente's beaches. As sea levels rise, Surfrider says the situation will only worsen. But there is some good news. The author of the report, Emma Hadesy, says that the loss can be avoided if community members are vigilant and lobby elected officials.
The hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to be appropriated from the Prop 4 ballot measure, the climate bond, where are those dollars going to go? These are things that local communities can help to weigh in on. And then showing up at their local city council chambers or town council chambers for meetings and letting local elected officials know that they need a local climate action or coastal resilience plan.
As for protecting existing businesses and homes near the coastline, Hadesy supports a phased approach called coastal adaptation, focusing on what we can do now so as sea levels rise, those areas are protected. Live in Newport Beach, I'm Isabella Sevilla reporting for Chapman News.
Thanks, Isabella. Now, as we approach the end of October this week, many local communities are getting ready to mark Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead is a Mexican holiday when families remember their deceased loved ones. Many build home altars to honor those who have died. Day of the Dead is celebrated November 1st and 2nd, and there are several events scheduled here at Chapman. Chapman's Latinx Club will be hosting a community altar and gathering this Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Student Union stage. Visit the Chapman Latinx or the Cross Cultural Center Instagram page for more information.
The Dodgers are 2 wins away from winning the World Series. I'm Nico Schwegler, and I'll recap that wild Game 3 finish that took us to the brink of midnight, and more in the world of sports coming up on Chapman News.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
Try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Welcome back. And Ainsley, wow, what a way to kick off the week in the world of sports.
Lisa, I could not agree more. Last night did not disappoint, and the rest of the week will feel like a movie. Let's swing it over to Chapman News reporter Nico Schwegler, who has all of the latest in the world of sports. Nico?
Ainsley, Lisa, did we just witness the greatest World Series game of all time? At least for the Dodgers, it was the Hollywood finish they hoped for to take a 2-1 lead in the Fall Classic. 44 players contributed to an 18-inning thriller that even Michael Jackson would have been proud of, and no one was happier than Dodgers manager Dave Roberts, who had this to say after the game.
That could go down as one of the greatest games of all time, or, it was ugly there for a while there, but, it's one of those things that I do believe that the 2 best teams in baseball are playing in this series, and the 2 toughest teams.
Last night was nothing but pure cinema, and who else but Shohei Ohtani, who got Dodger Stadium on its feet early with this blast off Max Scherzer to put the Dodgers up 2-0 in the 3rd. But the script quickly flipped as Alejandro Kirk continued his incredible postseason to put the Jays up by 1 in the very next inning. The 2 teams tacked on 2 more runs each, but with the Dodgers still down by 1, there was only one man to call to the plate. Shohei says, "See you later," for his 2nd of the night and a tied ball game in the 7th at Dodger Stadium. He would reach base successfully 9 times in this game, tying an MLB record. And after 1 full game of baseball, why not go on and play another? Well, it was clear that Freddie Freeman clearly had enough in the 18th inning, and just like last year against the New York Yankees, called game just before the clock struck midnight. Game 4, tonight at Dodger Stadium, is at 5 p.m. Now let's transition from the biggest series in the men's game to exciting news in the women's. And no, I'm not talking about softball. The Women's Professional Baseball League will soon be at your doorstep in 2026. Teams will be taking the field in Boston, Los Angeles, New York, and San Francisco next year to tee off the inaugural season. Up to 130 players are eligible to get drafted in November, but teams will only consist of 15 players each. Icons of women's baseball are expected to headline the draft, including Japanese phenom Ayami Sato, emerging star from Ole Miss, Ashton Lansdale, and of course, Little League World Series icon Monet Davis. The first WPBL draft is in November, and the official date will be announced very soon. And finally, a local high school football powerhouse just drew a flag on the play from CIF, except it wasn't on the field, but in the win-loss column. Orange Lutheran's football team was recently forced to forfeit their first 2 wins of the season due to the use of an ineligible player. The Lancers, currently ranked number 10 in California, saw their record drop from 4-4 to 2-6 entering last Friday's game, which they ultimately lost. Orange Lutheran's head of school, Dr. Jack Preuss, addressed the situation in a statement saying, "By addressing this matter directly and in accordance with the rules, we are living out our values and showing that integrity is at the heart of what we do." The Lancers may be down, but they're still not out despite the pitfall. If they finish 3rd or better in the Trinity League, they will earn an automatic bid to the playoffs. Orange Lutheran takes on Servite in the regular season finale this Friday at 7. A wild week in sports, a spooky end to October, and we'll soon know who is World Series champion. I'm Nico Schwegler with the Panther Sports Roundup, and we'll see you next week on Chapman News.
And sticking with sports news, it's college football season, and the focus is on the country's top programs and future pro players. As a Division III school, Chapman is home to over 600 student athletes who don't get nearly as much attention. But as Chapman News reporter Maya Gulsatarian tells us, they are just as devoted to their sport.
Cameras zoom in on the stars of college sports, but it's not every athlete that attracts this national coverage. In the background, it's the Division III athletes that are out of focus. With over 200,000 athletes competing across the country, Division III is the largest NCAA division, but it is often dismissed as less competitive.
Oh, okay, yeah, anybody could play Division III. No, that's not the case. At high-level Division III, I mean, we have Division I type talent all over the place.
Interim head football coach Casey Shine says while Division III programs don't offer athletic scholarships, they can still attract top talent.
We have quite a few players on our team that, just didn't like Division I and go, you know what, I want to come to Southern California and play great football and get a great education.
Here at Chapman, brothers Cade and Tate Zimmerman both played Division I football at the University of New Mexico before they decided it wasn't the right fit for them.
Culture here at Chapman's a lot closer and connected than my experience at New Mexico. I wanted to experience college life kind of around the area where I grew up.
The best way I could put it is that it's much more of a business at that level than it is more of playing the sport for fun. I think that here I found joy playing football again. When I was at New Mexico, it felt a lot more like a job just with the schedule and everything.
The Zimmerman brothers say they have no regrets about their move to Division III.
Now that we get to be at a place where we get to enjoy not just our teammates, but also just being on the field together and having fun doing what we're doing, it's a blessing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Proof that for some players, competing on a national stage isn't as important as finding your football family. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Maya Gulsatarian.
Coming up, we'll tell you about a coffee shop in Buena Park that is pouring community into every cup. That story and more just ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Natalie Ross.
And I'm Samantha Thomas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chapman News. I'm Stephen.
Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Chapman News.
Since 2010, Chapman News has been covering weather, entertainment, sports, politics, and news, broadcasting from Dodge College's Marionette Studios.
As the only live newscast in Orange County, our journalists aim to highlight local, statewide, and national communities.
We're here to provide the most accurate, engaging, and relevant news for our community.
Tune in to our nationally recognized and award-winning newscast, Chapman News.
Watch locally on Channel 6 or on our YouTube to stay updated with the latest.
Welcome back. A unique coffee shop in Buena Park's Koreatown district provides job opportunities to people with developmental disabilities. Our reporter Caroline Chang is brewing up the story at Sea Salt Beans and Coffee.
The Buena Park City Council designated this section of Beach Boulevard as K-Town in 2023, and the second K-Town of OC. They made it more official with a freeway sign put along the 5 freeway, and amongst the many different restaurants and shops, there's one special place that stands out. That's Seesaw Beans and Coffee, which is blending delicious drinks with a mission to promote independence for young adults with disabilities. Let's go check it out.
Nak-young Choi is a volunteer who has been with Seesaw for 2 years. He says Seesaw Beans and Coffee reflects cultural values.
We want to share this chong, that compassion, with every sip, every cup. So it's not just a matcha you drink, it's not just a coffee you drink, but it's a movement. So you're a part of us, and let's make the world a better place.
As a barista, I always want to show respect, so it's always to say hello and how are you.
Junie Park is a Seesaw barista with a learning disability, and a fixture you'll frequently see behind the bar. He is popular with customers, but Nok says it took time to get to this point.
When we first started, our baristas, they'll get really overwhelmed. So when the order comes, they'll like take it and they'll run away and they'll hide. And there were many moments when the customers would yell at us.
Now, Junie says he feels safe and valued in their work environment.
This community is very important to me because there's a lot of people who have learning disabilities. For example, I have a learning disability and maybe they can help me how to find the right path for me and the right key of success.
This is the double matcha latte recommended to me by Nok, but he made it a little bit more special and he added actually an extra shot of matcha. So let's give this a taste test. Oh, wait, that foam is so good. Oh my gosh.
And just a reminder, October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, so if you're in need of a coffee, matcha, or just a friendly place, it's a great time to visit and support Seesaw Beans and Coffee in Buena Park. I'm Caroline Chang, Chapman News.
That all looked so yummy. The entertainment industry is questioning how artificial intelligence will impact its future. Last month, Studio Sequoia unveiled Tilly Norwood, a fully AI-generated actress. Her debut sparked backlash across the industry, with SAG-AFTRA posting a statement. Chapman University professor Charlie Fink, who teaches in the animation and visual effects department, says AI could reshape Hollywood.
I think Hollywood is going to enter a new golden age because the business plan is broken, and lowering prices or costs dramatically is going to fix that for now.
AI is already being used. Recent Dodge graduate Betsy Siegel says she faced criticism when she used AI to create her senior thesis film. Tools like Sora are making the technology more accessible. Still, many say AI lacks authenticity and can't match human creativity.
What started as a hobby for one Laguna Beach store owner has transformed into something bigger. Chapman News reporter Ingrid Lee discovers what exactly makes this store feel like a warm hug.
If you look at it like this, it has the swirl in the middle, and it also reminds me of those seashells as well.
Angel Zhang started collecting Japanese tableware for more than 3 years. After some encouragement from her husband, she opened Blueberry Hugs.
I always appreciate craftsmanship, and also Japanese artists, they put a lot of their hearts and energy into whatever they make, and they have a really high standard about their product.
The shop opened in July with a vision to showcase artists' work through a monthly exhibition.
They literally put their thoughts and efforts into creating pieces. So to me, if there's a craftsmanship and there's a really good story behind each piece, then I'm willing to give them the opportunities to present in the US.
But Angel isn't just focusing on growing her own business. She also wants to give back to the Laguna Beach community.
I want people to have a quiet moment in your life, so you just kind of slow down. But I think having this quiet, peaceful moment in your heart really means a lot right now to me in this very chaotic world right now.
Even Angel has that one person to help her slow down. Her daughter, nicknamed Blueberry, the inspiration behind the store's name.
I see different things that I've never seen before I became a mom. So then I was like, okay, she actually inspired me a lot. And blueberry is also, if you think about it, it's really tiny, but it brings like sweetness to everybody's life every day.
And for Angel, Blueberry Hugs is nothing short of sweet success. Reporting for Chapman News, I'm Ingrid Lee.
What a cute story about sweet success for Blueberry Hugs. That does it for this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Lisa Pressler.
And I'm Ainsley Savant. Have a very happy Halloween, eat lots of candy, and we'll see you next week.